Yeah, that's the thing I can't do anything.
I couldn't fix that.
Is Martha here?
Martha's not, her son's having surgery, she wants a rabbi.
Oh, wait a minute.
No, not the son. But she's doing okay. He's doing okay. Her other son's having back. No, yeah, she has a son who's a,
Very good one.
Paul.
With the magazine.
No, magazine is Adam.
that too.
Magazine is Adam, Paul is like chiropractor.
And he's, I don't know, she had two.
First I stopped,
She's too
they stopped every tuna fish.
Yes. Chiropractor.
Back surgery.
Really?
It was convenient.
Wow.
It is
convenient.
To me, I would back surgery. I don't know, somewhere, not here.
So I figured.
He
okay,
looks like a
okay.
fourth order guy.
I'll go back to my, since I know
Oh,
that.
that's what it comes off.
How old is he?
Cause I asked Jim this morning, I said, so what do you want from me? She said,
You know, my son's terrible. I don't know how old the kids are. Got disintegrated
She
disc.
said two fish.
He walks like
You
this.
had it on?
I mean, it was on my mind.
Walks like this. He's got disintegrating disc or something.
Margaret, how are you? My favorite person.
Here, she said. That's where I was. We're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It's that water.
Nobody
drinks.
Yeah, I never.
This is not tourist study. They don't bring food.
Hello there. Okay.
Hi, Jan.
Oh, we have a husband and wife team today. Oh, they have one.
But she would like to do.
You can do
So it's quite deep, and we don't have any time to put on the list for the
Oh, that's amazing.
I think you know when the concert is. And maybe when-
Is it at night? Is it at night? the concert?
I don't know. Wellington, but where she is, but she
Okay,
didn't tell me when,
okay,
so I wanna go.
You think it's before Hanukkah?
okay, when you find out, let me know.
Yeah, so
darling.
we can drive together.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
It's
let
not
me
so
know.
far, it's 50 minutes.
I, listen, Wellington? No, yeah, I go everywhere.
I don't know, where is the synagogue?
Wellington is,
I know where Wellington is, I just,
it's
synagogue.
not right there, I was looking in the, it's.
Ron, are you there?
I remember when it just started.
Hi, what can I do for you?
I don't have internet.
I mean, it was olive thread.
Okay,
Let me see if I can get it again. Hold on.
check your Wi-Fi, make sure your Wi-Fi, is on.
It is.
Same thing. Yes. You were here before me, I came and said.
There's no internet access.
Really?
Full screen, because there's young people, families. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you want, if you email it to me, I can change them for you.
And my.
I can't email you.
If you were in the right neighborhood. Yeah, you know, we didn't have.
Well, let me ask you a question. You're on, are you are no longer in the Zoom. You are off of the Zoom. You see the
No,
key?
No, I mean,
Is your PowerPoint on the G drive?
No.
Because with the wireless keyboard in front of you, you can access it on the G drive if you need.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I do not have that. I have it. Okay, you know what, we're gonna,
I can come and I can come with my flash drive and get it from you
Okay.
and I can do it for you.
you're sweet. I think I just got it. Finally.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. Today's lesson is about miracles, so
We're not, just nothing's perfect.
let's see if the miracle, the, mi- the miracle of getting onto the internet. Okay, I'm on.
In the meantime, I'm gonna tell you something, a secret about me.
All right.
So when somebody.
Okay, well, everyone will, yeah, I will try to do that for sure.
If they have something important to say, they should say it out loud.
You got it.
You should be able to share now.
Alrighty, thank you.
Is it in white or yellow? I know there's one in yellow, I don't know.
Okay. The miracle has worked. Okay, everyone, hello, how are you? Good to see you. We are here, we are online, it's amazing. Okay. So today we are going to discuss miracles. And what I want to do before we get started is I want everyone to just take a second and put down whatever you have in your hand. Place them, get to a place of centeredness. And just release wherever we came from. And I want you to think about what is a miracle. I want you to think about from when you woke up this morning, you opened your eyes, you did whatever you did in the morning in your homes, whatever you did before you got to this place. What miracle or miracles did you witness on your way here today? Just take a moment and think through that. Hi. Okay.
I have a mirror.
Okay, let's just, I'm gonna welcome, we're gonna see, we have 2 more people that just joined us. What I'm asking everyone to do is just to sit down, put your things down, take a second. Think about from when the moment you opened your eyes this morning to when you came here now. What miracle or miracles did you witness on your way here? When you're ready, if you'd like to share. Liliana, would you like to share?
Well, the first miracle is waking up and all the parts of your body are functioning.
Yeah.
That's a miracle. And then I was stopping the red light and the car next to me says your gas cover is open. And I was thinking, how am I gonna get out? The traffic is crazy. And out of the blue, a gentleman from the car behind me came running and closed it in.
So nice.
So I thought,
You experienced the miracle of kindness today. Okay, good. So the miracle of waking up and the miracle of kindness. Okay, beautiful. Who else would like to share? We're talking about, welcome, how are you? From when you woke up this morning to when you came here now, what miracle or miracles did you witness or experience? Who would like to go? Susan.
What I experienced in the car, just down the block, is that this would be a great session as usual, and everybody would speak loudly so that some of us who don't hear very well, because of a lot of reasons, can hear all the wisdom you have to share.
Okay. Now, and I'm gonna challenge you. What miracle did you witness on your way here before you even got here?
No traffic,
Okay,
and I can walk, but I drive.
okay.
I'm sorry,
Margaret.
you know, I think it has to do with an age thing. But it's true that waking up, I mean, it feels like in the last 2 years, it's like I did it first. I mean, I just wake up and I think about it. I mean, it is a miracle. And the other miracle today, I was someplace where there are a lot of birds. You know, it's a long, I don't even know if they were herons or eagles, whatever, the big birds with legs and the whole thing. And I watched them, and I just thought about it, it's a miracle how they just, it's completely, I guess, instinct, the whole thing is physical for them. I thought it was a miracle, it really was not.
Beautiful.
Well,
We're
if you
sharing
repeat that,
the birds,
The
the birds are a
large
miracle.
bird.
So we're, Patty, hi, welcome, Rashina, welcome. We are thinking about from the moment we opened our eyes this morning to when we arrived here, what miracle or miracles did we experience or witness today?
The miracle of technology. So I had a doctor's appointment this morning and I had a special exam for my eyes and there's a machine that takes a front picture of my eye and shows a side view. Now, this is impossible, but clearly it's a miracle.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, Maddie.
I'm gonna talk about muscle memory.
Okay.
I was away for a week. And I was out of my normal routine, and then I get back, and Monday, back into my exercise and my yoga, and my body just cooperated, and I was so appreciative, you know, that there are routines that I can go back to, and my body and everything sinks in.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Anyone else like to share? Rashida?
The miracle of tiny little people in this world. I mean, I just feel so, I'm so far from it with my own kids, so I think just like those bare feet that are just sort of flopping around while someone's holding a baby, or like very unfiltered volume to how they're talking in any situation. It just feels so free and miraculous. Like, I just love that there are little people in the world figuring things out.
That's awesome. Yeah, Susan.
It's a very small miracle. I had this big pot that I planted butterfly hummingbird plants, seeds, and they've grown, which is a miracle right there. But they've been like wilting and the whole center was looking pretty bad. I walked up today and everything's like filled in and beautiful. I'm like, whoa.
That's not little, that's major. That's great. That's major. That's right. That's awesome. Who else? Anyone else want to share? Judith?
Well, for me, just like you said, to get up in the morning. And to be surrounded by the nature, the trees and the sun, and to look out my windows and see all of that beauty around me. And I had to walk very far to my car because they were doing roof problems and I could not park my car nearby. I mean, far from me. And I was able to walk it. I was like,
That's so good.
we're like America. I'm just fortunate for like everything I see around me and that I can do. And I'm capable of, and I have to be able to do. I just find it to be, I'm grateful, and to me, those small miracles. Like they finally put a heel in my right foot, a heel pad. Which now I can walk so much differently than I have for ages and ages because of the heel pad.
That's right. You know, one of the daily miracles that we thank God for is strengthening our steps.
Yes, and that's what I.
So Judith,
So,
no small thing.
Yeah.
It's real. Beautiful. Anyone else want to share? Any other miracles? Okay, wonderful. So I'm gonna do two things today. I'm gonna have, anyone online want to share a miracle before I move on? So I have the text for us both in paper and on the screen. So we're gonna do that today because we're gonna do a little bit of a different format. But I want to have everyone on the screen can see the text, you have the text here. And also because sometimes the glare of the screen is a little bit challenging to read. So I'm going to pass these around. Today we are talking about illuminating the miracle. Why a miracle? Why are we talking about miracles? Okay, phew, okay, you're in the right class. Okay, so we're talking about Hanukkah. And one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about, and I think I alluded to this a little bit last time, I'm thinking a lot about why Hanukkah? We talked about last week, but I'm thinking about what is Hanukkah? What is Hanukkah and what are the rituals that are gonna be meaningful to me and my family this year? As I look around my home and I think, do I really need to buy more things and stuff for Hanukkah this year? Now, Asher and I may have a disagreement about that. But as a mom, I'm thinking a lot about what do I want Hanukkah to mean? for Asher, for me, for Will. What do I want us to be doing on Hanukkah that sort of relates to the themes of Hanukkah itself? And how might we begin to build certain rituals or traditions in our family that may express some sentiment of the holiday that resonates and that's meaningful to me, as opposed to it just being an opportunity for 8 nights for me to have to clean up more stuff in the house. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Of course, he'll get some little tchotchkes, right? But what else am I looking from the holiday? What experience am I looking for? What feeling, what sentiment, what exploration, what opportunities, what blessings does this holiday offer for us and for our families? And so one of the things that I've been thinking about is, what are different themes that I can attribute to each of the nights of Hanukkah? And next week, when we talk about lighting the candles and the menorah, I have different things for each of the nights that I'm gonna offer to you as my gift to you, my offering to you, as a way to sort of bring a little bit more teaching into our holiday lights. Hanukkah itself comes from, there's a word that comes from the same root, which is chinuch. Hanukkah, chinuch, means education. So the tradition is telling me, reminding me, that the holiday is also an opportunity for learning. Not just giving of gifts, but also of physical gifts or of material things, but also to giving the gift and receiving the gift of chinuch, of education, of learning, of teaching. And so next week, I'll give you teachings for each night of Hanukkah. So when you light your lights, you can offer a little teaching and a ritual. And today, that's what we're gonna do. We are gonna focus on the miracles through different teachings from different rabbis. From Rabbi David Hartman, Rabbi Laura Geller, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, and then Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. So we're gonna look at miracles, not just, we all know the miracle that we celebrate, right? The oil lasted 8 nights, the lights of the menorah lasted. Beautiful miracle. Love that miracle, love that story. Now, what is the miracle trying to teach us? And what is it trying to remind us? Okay? So the first text I want us to dive into, let me share my screen for our friends virtually. We're gonna go through them all together, and then I'm gonna see if we can do a little bit of chavruta, some partner conversations about this as well.
And the type you made.
You have it in front, you have it right here.
Okay.
Okay, because I know that with the glare it's hard, so I printed it off for everyone. You're welcome. Okay, so the first text, let's all look at the first text. The first text is Rabbi David Hartman, trusting in a new beginning in a different light. In considering the miracle of the cruse of oil, our rabbis asked why the holiday of Hanukkah was celebrated for 8 days rather than for 7 days. Okay, so here's the first question. Why 8 days, not 7 days? Since there was, by all accounts, sufficient oil for 1 day, the actual miracle was that only 7 of the 8 days of burning may be designated as miraculous days. Don't you love the way the rabbis think? Fascinating. Though several ingenious explanations were offered, what strikes me, Rabbi David Hartman, as being the miraculous feature of the initial day was the community's willingness to light the lamp in spite of the fact that its anticipated period of burning was short-lived. The miracle of the first day was expressed in the community's willingness to light a small cruse of oil without reasonable assurance that their efforts would be sufficient to complete the rededication of the temple. Hanukkah celebrates the miracle expressed by those who lit the lamp, and not only the miracle of the lamp's continued burning for 8 days. So what is David Hartman expressing here? Before we get to the questions, what is he expressing here? Yeah, one.
Maybe he's expressing that there's this hope that people have.
Keep going. What do you mean?
Well, just sometimes you think that maybe if you try something, it'll work out, even though the resources might not be there,
Yeah,
or even the will might not be there, but there's still like a little bit of hope.
yeah, right? That willingness to say, it may not be possible, or what's in front of you may not say, this is gonna last for 8 days. Right? But something within them, this willingness, this desire, this opportunity, this hope was, we're gonna go the next day and light it again. Okay, beautiful. Well, what else? What else do you take away from the text? What stands out for you? Yeah, Susan.
This is a tradition, and they weren't going to ignore the tradition just because there wasn't possibly enough for, so they honored the tradition that one night and were rewarded as a miracle.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So that they didn't, that there was a tradition there, they didn't abandon that tradition, then they went back saying, there may not be enough, but this is what we do. This is what we do. Having that menorah lit within this space designates and says to the world that this is our sacred holy space, and that the menorah should be lit, the candelabra should be lit, and although we didn't look like we had what we needed, we're going back to engage in the tradition. We're not abandoning it. Beautiful, lovely. So why do you think the community chose to light the oil? It could be what Susan said, okay? Why?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Why did the Maccabees go and choose to light the oil?
Well, they had the light, the lamp was lit for every day. And just because they thought they didn't have enough, didn't mean that they wouldn't light it for the days that they had enough. And the miracle was, of course, that it took 8 days for them to get more holy oil. And they decided they would just keep lighting it as long as they could.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Maddie and Margaret?
I think there's an element of faith here.
Mm.
Um,
An element of faith.
and then we'll see. You know, maybe God will provide, or the answer will come.
Yeah. Beautiful. Margaret?
Well, the tradition thing is important. I think that it's about bringing things back to normalcy,
Mm.
what it was. They got the temples back, they're there. Now you want to get back to what you always did. And you just do it.
Okay, very interesting. So in the face of this upheaval and the destruction of what they knew to be a firm position, a strong, their place to worship, that which was comfort and a place of knowing, in an attempt to restore that sense of knowingness, of routine, of certainty, the action that would bring about that sense of certainty and calm was to go and light the light. Right? So even though there's chaos, there's destruction, there's upheaval, that desire to feel connected and to feel stability, they would gain that from going to light the lights. Okay, very nice.
It's also visible. So I feel like, the act, even though it's a small ritual of tradition, it's visible, so others are taking notice of that. And in life, that can be a statement in and of itself.
A statement of,
Belief, community, hope, all the things.
nice, beautiful. Patty?
Can you tell me who the Maccabees were as a people? Who were they? There was I don't have a clear mind. I mean,
So they're from the Hasmonean dynasty. It's a group of Jews, right? They're the Israelites who were living at the time.
Right.
The Greeks come in and they say, this is not the way you are going to live, you're not going to have your Torah, you're not gonna live by your traditions and your rituals. And the Hasmonean's like, well, but this is who, we're not gonna accept that answer, right? They come in and they destroy the temple, they defile it, they ruin it, but they rise up and they fight. And they actually are able to restore order and restore their position within the land of Israel. So the Maccabees are a group of a family, they're from the Hasmonean dynasty. And we know Judah Maccabee and his brothers or his father are sort of like the leaders. Yeah.
People now with the mess of trying.
Cleaning it up.
So who are the minds, who are the people that are having is it a group like we are? Just everybody's having the right to speak? And it's just, is this a tradition? Is this who? I'm not used to having so much discussion and I love it. And everyone has a different viewpoint and can add to what may be the common good. I mean.
Yeah, right, so it's absolutely, I mean, the very short answer is yes, right? And why is it yes? Like, if you open up any book of Talmud or Jewish law, right? You open up the Talmud, the beautiful aspect of the Talmud, right, is even the design of the page, which I'll go in, I can get to you in a second. The design of the page is a conversation. So there's the centerpiece text, okay, we're going to discuss this particular part of the Mishnah, the law, and then now there's gonna be different rabbis who are gonna comment and discuss on this one particular point that we raise, or why we should do something in a certain way. And then there's all this commentary around the page that's responding and commenting.
Because I never had any association ever.
Yeah, so they're all responding to what precedent was, what was the precedent, what brought us here. Tom is actually gonna comment on the Torah text, which is the base text, right? And we're gonna then comment on, try to explore what we actually get to. But the beauty of that, the bottom of the page just doesn't say, and now this is the way we're gonna do it. Right? There's a whole lot of discussion and conversation, but there's nothing at the very end. It's like, all right, now Patty, go forth and do this thing, right?
Right.
It's an ongoing conversation. That's why the Jewish dialogue and the conversation around what it means to live Jewishly is an ongoing, evolving, dynamic conversation. It's not a static conversation. Yes, are there particular traditions, and there's minhagim, in discussion of Talmud, there's the quote is, minhag kamo halacha. The custom or the tradition is equivalent to law. Okay, is the same. Kamo is like. Minhag, tradition, is like halacha, Jewish law. Because over time, there are certain minhagim and customs and traditions that arise out of the tradition, out of the debate, out of the discussion, out of the way in which we live our lives, that then actually transcend what, then actually become stam, they become law, they become what we determine as our actual tradition. We referenced last week the actual tradition around, or minhag around the lighting of Hanukkah lights. Beit Shammai says you are to light all 8 candles on the first night, and every night you do one less, right? Because the miracle was it burned for 8 days, so put all the lights, and you diminish the light. Beit Hillel says, no. The first night you're gonna light 1 candle, the second night you're gonna light 2 candles, then you're gonna light 3, 4, and so on to the 8 nights. Ultimately, it's decided that we follow who? Beit Hillel. We follow Beit Hillel, because Hillel says we do that because in ways of holiness, we should always be ascending in the light. As opposed to diminishing in the light, right? So there's so many different examples of that. It's an ongoing discussion. That's the beauty of Jewish tradition and Jewish exploration, is that it's a continuous choose your own adventure type of situation, right? You're gonna go this way, you're gonna go this way, we're gonna explore this way. There's all these different opportunities to explore what particular tradition, rite, ritual feels authentic and an authentic expression of your soul and your spirit, right? Are there particular rules, obligations, laws? Yeah, there are, okay? But we have the ability to say, that feels authentic, an authentic expression of my soul, my spirit. And that is how I'm going to live myself, live and see the world Jewishly. With the recognition that there are other communities and other Jews who are going to express that ritual, that rite, that tradition in a different way. Okay, so that's part of, I think, the beauty of Jewish tradition and Jewish study, is that I am not, just because I'm sitting in this seat, does not mean I get to tell you, Patty, how you're going to interpret that text.
I'm so ingrained in, did what I did in a conservative way. I never got Orthodox, but at 80, I'm getting so excited about Reform Judaism. I mean, even that there are female rabbis. I'm.
It's a miracle. Oh, one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
But I think, but also I want to just say too, that from where we sit in our perspective, we, for us, that perspective of Reform Judaism is powerful and very profoundly rich and deep. But I wouldn't negate the fact that this is not the same kind of that there are conversations of this richness and validity in other traditions in conservative and Orthodox Judaism. For our ear, it sounds different. But the idea of debate, discussion, and the profound deep exploration of the text is just as meaningful, rich, and poignant. And so for me, that's also very important to understand. It may sound different, it can be expressed differently, but the beauty of our tradition is that the Talmud in of itself doesn't have the final answer at the bottom of the page. And that's, from an Orthodox perspective, a conservative perspective, a Reform perspective, that's
the
yeah. Okay, so here we go. So one of the questions I think is fascinating as a result of this text is, when should we individually or communally take action, even though our efforts may only pay off for a short period? Now, I think this is an interesting question that the text asks. I don't necessarily think that the Maccabees were asking themselves, I'm going to take action, even though that oil may only last one day, right? What I think is interesting is so much of what you all alluded to is the idea that through their hope, their conviction, their faith, their desire to re-sanctify and rededicate the space which had been defiled, a place that meant so much to them, the idea to restore order, restore connection, restore certainty, and a sense of calm amidst the chaos and destruction, probably was more of a contributing factor as to why they ran to light that light. But what I think is an interesting thing that we can ask ourselves is, how does this now resonate in our own lives? We are not looking, for our lives today, the idea of running to light the menorah and only having enough oil for a particular time, that particular one example may not resonate for us in our own lives, because that's not necessarily something that we do, right? We have different ways in which we light lights, or light the menorah within the sanctuary. But the idea that in the course of our lifetime, things may happen, a situation may arise where we do have to take action. We do need to do something through extraordinary effort that may only pay off for a short amount of time. We may only gain a little bit of benefit from it happening, but yet we're still committed to doing it because the sentiment, the position, the stand that we take may outlast even just the physical reaction or the physical payoff of a short amount of time. And so I think one of the things that this miracle reminds us of is that being willing to take courageous steps, being willing to say, this is important, this tradition is important to pass down, or to reimagine or reignite or rededicate, even in the face of uncertainty, that's something that that the miracle of Hanukkah can also remind us of. Okay, any other final comments on this text? Yeah, Lauren.
What you just said really resonated with me.
Tell me.
Just the reigniting. Personally, I've had some changes in my family structure, people moving all over, recent divorce. But this Hanukkah has taken me a lot of courage, but doing it together, and the dynamic is different, and I'm really mustering up a lot of energy for it, but that really Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing this, so powerful. You know what, that is such a, I'm so glad that you shared that. First of all, the courage to share, so I appreciate that this space lends itself to that, so I deeply appreciate that. I think that is such a beautiful way to think about the physical act of lighting our candles. That it's a good reminder for us that it doesn't necessarily need to be on a global scale, although this year it definitely would respond that the fact that there are those people, that there are Jews in this world today, 2024, in a few weeks, they will think twice. It will feel like a major act of moral courage and physical safety to light their menorah in a public space, right? That we do think twice about that. So that courageous step on a global scale, I think absolutely still resonates, and resonates strongly, even in this day and age, and especially in this day and age, I would say. But also for us individually, and I don't think we think about that enough. The what it takes to actually engage in the act of the tradition of lighting the menorah. Now, because of the way the tradition has shifted and changed, that Hanukkah, right, the idea, some people are like, oh, Hanukkah is a kid's holiday, right? Like, I've heard that before. I don't have kids at home. I don't have my grandparents, like, what am I gonna do, light my menorah? Oh my gosh, what are you gonna do? Of course you're gonna light the menorah, right? But sometimes that's an extra step to think about. What if we live on our own, and we're one person? Does it feel strange? Does it feel odd? Right, we don't necessarily think about that. But what it does do is it reminds us of, you know what? The idea of illumination of a miracle absolutely can be a solo activity. Now, it may physically be a solo activity because you're one person within the house. But one of the beauties of our tradition is that there are millions of other Jews around the world who too are picking up the candle at the same time and lighting their menorah. So we may physically be alone, lighting our menorah, and that may feel, for some of us, like a big step, a courageous act. Because you know what? But you actually join countless others each of those nights in engaging in the physical act of illuminating a miracle. How profound. And to be able to recognize that and say, you know what? I am gonna do this. It's okay that I don't have all the chazarai on the table that I used to have. It's okay that I don't have 42 menorahs any longer and everyone's lighting 6 of them. It's okay that I don't have 150 dreidels and geld wrappers all over the floor. It's okay. You must have been. My house looked exactly the same. The gelt wrappers on the floor for days, right? Like crunch of those aluminum wrappers. Okay? Maybe it looks a little bit differently for you this year. But the physical act of engaging in the tradition that Susan reminded us, that's really beautiful. That's really profound. That's miraculous. Okay? So the act of engaging in the tradition in and of itself is the miracle that for centuries we have been engaging in this behavior, in this rite and in this ritual, and bringing light in the world during a time of darkness. Physical darkness, as well as the darkness of our history during particularly dark times, but also this time of year is a particularly dark time. I mean, it's like 4 o'clock and I feel like it's midnight. I can't, it's very hard to wrap my head around, right? Maddie.
I was just gonna say, in all the discussion, I think of it in a visual sense of being an anchor. Because so much of spirituality is non-tangible, our belief, but this helps anchor us, especially in time of chaos. You know, bring us back. It's almost like also a diversion. And it's so healthy because we can't be under stress all the time. We need to kind of give ourselves a little bit of a break. And it provides that, a beautiful way to kind of recharge and understand a little more, connect.
And rededicate, as the
Right.
holiday reminds us. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, Rabbi Laura Geller teaches. The miracle wasn't that the oil lasted an additional 7 days, but rather that those ancestors lit the first wick at all, without being certain that the light would last long enough to complete the rededication of the temple. The miracle was that they took the chance, a risk, a leap of faith. They took the first step, even though they were not sure they had enough resources to succeed. What is the real miracle of Hanukkah? It is the miracle of human courage that empowers us to take risks for the future, even in our imperfect, uncertain world. It is the courage, even in the darkest of times, to create our own light. What are your reflections?
Are these all contemporaries, like these rabbis writing in similar time?
Yeah, I mean, they're all modern scholars, so Rabbi Hartman and Rabbi Sachs have passed away. Rabbi Laura Geller is not, she's amazing, she was a senior rabbi in California for many, many years, she's emeritus now. But they all would have overlapped 100%, they're all modern scholars.
Yeah, the courage thing, because it teaches us, I mean, a lot of us, we won't do certain things, we're worried, we're scared, we're frightened. And this idea of taking the chance, the leap of faith, having the courage to do something that you may be frightened about or not sure of, but you do it anyway. You take the chance.
So Margaret talked about the importance of thinking about taking that chance, doing something that we may be afraid of or be frightened of, but actually having the courage to take the risk and to take the chance, that's a very powerful piece of this. Who else would like to comment? Alan?
I think this comment is misplaced.
Okay.
This comment really applies to them having the courage to fight off the Greeks.
Right.
I don't think that it took courage. I like the hope, I like the optimism concept, I like the tradition concept, but I don't buy it for my life.
Also, talk more about that.
Because, you know, they lit the lights.
You're right.
They didn't take a lot, they had a little fire and they lit the light. That wasn't courageous. I think this commentary is inapplicable.
But it's celebrating that they had courage. But you're right, I just think that the reason they get that light, because that's what they did.
Right,
Now they can continue to do it, that's what it was.
right, but in other words, but it's not, the word courage shouldn't apply.
You're right,
Okay,
I
interesting.
like your questions.
you're right.
I love your questions, but not about this.
Okay,
I
interesting.
agree.
I live in a condo, and last year, it was right after October 7th. So many people were saying, should I put my electric thing in the window? And it was a big discussion about if that was appropriate. Most people live alone. I live alone. Somebody wants to do something, I don't know what I'd do, you know. If there were a child to save, I'd do that, but I don't wanna have to defend myself.
Now it's courage.
Is that courage?
Now it is. Then it wasn't.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so very interesting. Okay, any other reflections? Yeah, Madeline.
Maybe the courage to risk criticism by the others who say, why are you bothering to do this? You know, why, well, we have so many other things happening and going on. So maybe courage to stand for convictions or what they believe in.
That's good.
Very interesting. What was the synagogue, the temple in Jerusalem? What was it a recognition of?
It was the meeting place that everybody went to interact, to find out, to get the news, to.
It was more than that.
This
is very-
for sacrifice.
Okay. A place for sacrifice.
Connection to God. The physical.
It was the physical representation of God's house. God's dwelling place. We knew God dwelled amongst us in the Holy of Holies, that God dwelled in this place. In order for us to access the realm of the divine, we traveled to the temple in Jerusalem. To offer and to engage in avodah, service of God, we had to go to the temple in Jerusalem. In order to feel and to know and understand this God that we couldn't see, touch, or feel, we had to go where? To the temple in Jerusalem. We knew that it was a sacred holy place. These lights of the candelabra were illuminated. It's what the Israelites and the people of Israel were told that they must do in order to sanctify this sacred space for God to dwell amongst them. Now the temple is defiled and desecrated. The light doesn't light. It's no longer illuminated. It's a place that has been utterly damaged. What's your first reaction if you're living at that particular moment in time? What are you thinking?
Sense of freedom.
What are you thinking?
Where is God then?
Where is God going to dwell? Was God damaged and defiled and desecrated and burned down? Is God dwelling there if the place has been totally defiled, damaged? Can God dwell there? If the lights are not illuminated, if there's no place for sacrifice, where is God?
But this is after the temple. This is way after.
No, this is the temple in Jerusalem.
The Maccabees.
Yeah. So the temple in Jerusalem that they went to go to rededicate is the place, the only place that they knew where to go and connect and worship and offer sacrifice to God. And now it doesn't function that way. So what's the first thing they want to make sure they can do? Restore the house of God, so God can have a house to dwell amongst them. That's a really frightening idea at a time in which the only way that we understood or had understanding and knowledge of how to be comforted, supported, and seen by God.
So what year,
Hold on, I want you to stay here with me. I want you to stay here with me. I think what is really profound about this is that the faith piece here is for this small group of the Maccabees who are taking this leap of faith, this courageous act to protect their way of living, their holy sites, to say that we are going to continue living as Jews the way that we understand what it means to live Jewishly. That in this particular moment in time, the way that we can rally the troops, literally, and the people, and restore a sense of calm and a sense of order and not fear, is to make sure that that light can light. They've got to know that this is still their place and God is amongst us. There is a fear. Just as when the temples were destroyed, that fear of being abandoned alone, not knowing where God is, the place that we always knew where to go is now no longer illuminated, it's no longer functioning. We got to get this place functioning again. So that people feel a sense of connection, but of they're no longer afraid that God has left them. So sure, could you use a different word? Okay, yeah, you could use probably a different word. But the courage that for them it took to hope and pray that that next light lit, when they lit the first one, to say, no, God is still this, we're still here, right? The way that we know what it means to live Jewishly, that God is amongst us, for them to take that leap to say, I'm gonna light this light, please God, let the next one light, let the next one light, let the next one light. Seems simple to us. As far as we go and strike another match. But from the sense of from a theological perspective of only understanding that you can commune with God and that you can be in the presence of the divine is in this particular place, engaged in particular activity of sacrifice, and knowing that this is a sacred space because all of the traditional elements that the Torah tells us have to be kindled and done in order for this to be a house that God is dwelling, all have to come together. And we're hoping that through this act that we're gonna hope and pray literally that the next light lights. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So for us, we may define courage differently, right? And courage presents itself differently and manifests differently for many different people, which may seem like a insignificant action on one person's part, could have required a tremendous leap of courage for somebody else. But we don't know. Because we don't know the story and the journey of each person that we see and we come in contact with.
I think we face many different courages throughout the day, throughout the month, the year, whatever. Some large, some small. Yeah.
And no less miraculous and significant. Beautiful. Thank you for this good comments. You guys are awesome. Okay, let's see what happened here. I'm gonna go to this one next and then we'll come back. Okay, this one's small on the screen, but that's why you have it there. Okay. Text 4, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs on page 2 says there's a third miracle. Okay, because remember, 2 Jews, how many opinions? Okay, right, okay. Just wanted it was literally lobbed up in front of me, I had to do it, okay. We all know the miracles of Hanukkah, the military victory of the Maccabees against the Greeks, and the miracle of the oil that should have lasted 1 day but stayed burning for 8. But there was a third miracle not many people know about. It took place several centuries later. After the destruction of the Second Temple, many rabbis were convinced that Hanukkah should be abolished. After all, it celebrated the rededication of the temple, and the temple was no more. It had been destroyed by the Romans under Titus. Without a temple, what was there left to celebrate? The Talmud tells us that in at least one town, Lod, Hanukkah was abolished. Yet eventually, the other view prevailed, which is why we celebrate Chanukah to this day. Why? Because though the temple was destroyed, Jewish hope was not destroyed. We may have lost the building, but we still had the story and the memory and the light. And what had happened once in the days of the Maccabees could happen again. And it was those words, Od lo avda tikvatenu, our hope is not destroyed, became part of the song Hatikvah, that inspired Jews to return to Israel and rebuild their ancient state. So as you light the Hanukkah candles, remember this. The Jewish people kept hope alive, and hope kept the Jewish people alive. We are the voice of hope in the conversation of humankind.
Oh, that's but.
Reflections?
He's so brilliant.
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I said, all in a little bow.
Like perfect.
That is-
Yep, I know. He's magic. Yep, right? The Jewish people kept hope alive, and hope kept the Jewish people alive. So reminiscent of a Chad Ha'am statement about Shabbat, right? That it's not that the Jewish people keep Shabbat, it's that Shabbat keep the Jewish people, right? So it's like the similar kind of a concept that this notion, right? But here it doesn't remove us from the equation, that the Jewish people kept hope alive and hope kept the Jewish people alive. And this notion of being a voice of hope for humankind, that's an enormous responsibility. Enormous. right? The idea that for each and every one of us, this idea that hope, that our voice is hope, to inspire others and to think about the narrative of our journey and of our people's story, right? Through all of the twists and winding pathways that take us to where we currently sit here together in this beautiful space, in this magnificent sacred space, part of an incredible community. That hope for ourselves and for our future is very much an active, living, breathing part of what maintains the continuity and the future of what it means to remain part of this people. We each have hopes and desires for ourselves, for our families, for our community, for our world. We have hopes for what it means to continue to live Jewishly, to see the world through a Jewish lens. We have hope for how we can live according to the mitzvot, for according to walking in God's ways, hope for the traditions that we maintain and the tradition rituals that we will create as we continue to evolve and grow. And the dynamism of our tradition, I think, is so hopeful in the fact that we are encouraged to reimagine and evolve and grow, because that is what propels us forward. And I think the beauty of this holiday of Chanukah is that we are not just acknowledging a moment that occurred centuries ago, but there is so much wrapped up in the kindling of that one shamus candle, the leader candle, and then lighting the next candle and the next one and the next one. We could easily strike a match and light the candle, but we have to light the shamus. The shamash has to light the other candles. There is such profound beauty in just that one act. We can take a match, strike it, and light the candles. But our tradition says no. You have to have a designated leader candle that is separate from the other 8, that is going to light that next candle. And what's wrapped up in that is what Jonathan Sachs will teach, which is also that I don't diminish my flame by lighting somebody else's flame. I do not diminish my spark by helping to light somebody else's candle. That the divine spark within each and every one of us has the power, the ability, and the responsibility to continue lighting all the other candles around us. That doesn't diminish my spark, it only enhances our collective flame. So this year, when we light our candles and we reflect on the miracle that was, we also illuminate the hope for the miracles that will be, and for the ability to continue seeing miracles in our world. We started our class with me asking you to reflect on the miracles that you've seen just this morning, and you all did so beautifully. Because not one person in here said, "What are you talking about? I didn't see anything." The Baal Shem Tov says that many of us walk around in our world with our hands over our eyes and miss every single miracle along the way. Sometimes in our world, we do that. Sometimes along our life journey, there are certain circumstances that prevent us from opening our eyes wide enough to seeing the miracles around us. What Hanukkah sort of reminds us is that the ability to illuminate the light of others, the ability to light our own flame and enhance the light, the ability to bring light into spaces of darkness, is an incredibly profound miracle that each and every one of us partner with God in the ability to produce. So as you illuminate the miracles in your own life, we're also working to illuminate the miracles of the future through the sense of hope, faith, and the continued engagement in the ritual of just striking the match, lighting the shamas, and every night bringing a little bit more light into the world. Look forward to next week, everybody. No.